Which kind of storyteller should you choose? One who narrates intimate details in the first person, or one who hovers about, giving you interesting insights? It's very rare that you will actually want a storyteller, an independent-minded narrator, as a framing device. So for this video, we'll focus mostly on whether you want first-person narration or some form of third-person. Keep in mind, a true storyteller is actually your main character, whether you want them to be or not. It's helpful to think of film when imagining the differences between first and third person. First person is like the point of view shot. The camera becomes the character's eyes, and we see what the character sees. In the first person, we are essentially the character as we read. Because of this close narrative distance, we are intimately connected to the action. A reason horror movies often use the POV shot is to put the audience in the same peril as the character. A major limitation is that we can't back away from the character and see the bigger picture. As an author, you can only control what the camera focuses on moment by moment, not how far away the character is. But that means that each and every moment is felt by the reader. Nothing is glossed over while focus is diverted elsewhere. This can be very visceral when the character is suffering either physically or emotionally. More common in film and in literature is the use of distance in narrative, from the over-the-shoulder shot to the extremely wide-angle city view. The camera in third person can be in the character's space, experiencing almost what the character does, but it is not as rooted in the character's own experience as much as it is observing it from a slight distance. The author is also not limited to just one distance in most cases, being able to vary the distance to either extremely close or back way out. Unlike in first person, the author now has control over both distance and focus at the same time. Choosing third person is about choosing to have more choices in how the story is told. You can also spare the reader in third person, creating distance between visceral action and the reader by moving further back or focusing on something else, something Hitchcock refused to do for poor Janet. In the last video, I gave more detail on narrative distance. When selecting the storyteller, you are making an even stronger commitment to narrative distance than when you choose the point of view. You must carefully decide whether you want to lock yourself into the intimacy of first person, and whether you will be able to construct your complex world through only one person's eyes. It is very possible to do this, but not every author is ready for the challenges that it creates. Decide for yourself what is most important, the distance or the diversity, and make that choice intentional. If you are trying to show how a character deals with difficult and intense emotional situations, you'll need the intimacy of their own thoughts to really be there. It can be done in the third person, but why not use first? Why not really get down in the muck? If you want the reader to feel every little thing that happens to a character, every gut-wrenching, pulse-pounding, tear-jerking sensation, you're probably going to use first person to do that. As before, anti-heroes and dark heroes are complicated to empathize with. Thus, the intimacy of first person allows the author more space to accomplish that. Poorly executed, it will make an unlikable character hated, so be careful. Stream of consciousness, though emerging in the third person in Joyce and Wolfe, I think finds its home in the first person. If you want to ride the eddies and flows of thought, consider doing so from the intimacy of the character's own voice. Non-linear narrative is confusing at best, and requires a careful narration to accomplish it. Ulysses was dense but passable, whereas Finnegan's Wake is almost incomprehensible to an average reader. The first person can assist you in tying a story that doesn't follow normal progression together through the strength of its own voice. Conversely, you should use third person when you want to show the majesty of a grand universe where the narrator may take a short minute now and again to show us just how amazing this world is, before hunkering down with those pesky characters and interrupting plots. If you are telling a complicated or intricate plot, it is often helpful to have the distance to show how the pieces are fitting together, and to foreshadow things that are necessary to understanding what is going on. Danny Ocean is great and exciting, but we can't watch him talk all day, or we'll miss out on all the fun. If you truly have more than one hero, third person allows you to keep all of them at the same level of intimacy as the others. I don't recommend it, but it can be done, and multiple first persons is perhaps the most difficult combination of techniques an author can choose. Do so very carefully. Third person is amazing at connecting all the elements in a single continuous story, like a disaster movie. Third person narration is a kind of promise that what you're being shown is in fact important to the whole picture, so don't break your promise by filming ants for no reason. Lastly, when you have simultaneous events going on, third-person narrative keeps time flowing evenly between different points of view, ensuring the audience doesn't lose track of when they are in the story. There is a fondness for the limited third-person narrator, supposedly melding the best of the first and third persons together. It does work well in young adult literature, and especially well in chapter books, but you are taking on the limitations of both first and third and not gaining a synthesis of their benefits. Readers are used to it, and we are unlikely to see it go away because of that, but it seems to be a lazy, or worse, an unintentional choice by many authors. There is a distinct advantage to both first and third person independently. Take the time to consider them, and before you choose limited third, make sure you shouldn't just jump into the first person or allow yourself the freedom to change distance through third. Whatever you do, do so intentionally. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more writing-related videos, as well as interesting panel discussions between new adult authors. You can check out some of my previous videos on the right. Questions and comments are always welcome on Twitter.